أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صاد والقرآن ذي الذكر بل الذين كفروا في عزة وشقاق كم أهلكنا من قبلهم من قرن فنادوا ولا تحين مناص وعجبوا أن جاءهم منذر منهم وقال الكافرون هذا ساحر كذاب أجعل الآلهة إلها واحدا إن هذا لشيء عجاب وانطلق الملأ منهم أن امشوا واصبروا على آلهتكم إن هذا لشيء يراد ما سمعنا بهذا في الملة الآخرة إن هذا إلا اختلاق أأنزل عليه الذكر من بيننا بل هم في شك من ذكري بل لما يذوقوا عذاب أم عندهم خزائن رحمة ربك العزيز الوهاب أم لهم ملك السماوات والأرض وما بينهما فليرتقوا في الأسباب جند ما هنالك مهزوم من الأحزاب كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح وعاد وفرعون ذو الأوتاد وثمود وقوم لوط وأصحاب الأيكة أولئك الأحزاب إن كل إلا كذب الرسل فحق عقاب وما ينظر هؤلاء إلا صيحة واحدة ما لها من فواق وقالوا ربنا عجل لنا قطنا قبل يوم الحساب اصبر على ما يقولون واذكر عبدنا داود ذا الأيد إنه أواب إنا سخرنا الجبال معه يسبحن بالعشي والإشراق والطير محشورة كل له أواب وشددنا ملكه وآتيناه الحكمة وفصل الخطاب وهل أتاك نبأ الخصم إذ تسوروا المحراب إذ دخلوا على داود ففزع منهم قالوا لا تخف خصمان بغى بعضنا على بعض بيننا بالحق ولا تشطط واهدنا إلى سواء الصراط إن هذا أخي له 99 نعجة ولي نعجة واحدة فقال أكفلنيها وعزني في الخطاب قال لقد ظلمك بسؤال نعجتك إلى نعاجه وإن كثيرا من الخلطاء ليبغي بعضهم على بعض إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وقليل ما هم وظن داود أنما فتناه فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا وأناب فغفرنا له ذلك وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب يا داود إنا جعلناك خليفة في الأرض فاحكم بين الناس بالحق ولا تتبع الهوى فيضلك عن سبيل الله إن الذين يضلون عن سبيل الله لهم عذاب شديد بما نسوا يوم الحساب وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما باطلا ذلك ظن الذين كفروا فويل للذين كفروا من النار أم نجعل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كالمفسدين في الأرض أم نجعل المتقين كالفجار كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك ليدبروا آياته وليتذكر أولو الألباب
ووهبنا لداود سليمان نعم العبد إنه أواب إذ عرض عليه بالعشي الصافنات الجياد فقال إني أحببت حب الخير عن ذكر ربي حتى توارت بالحجاب ردوها علي فطفق مسحا بالسوق والأعناق ولقد فتنا سليمان وألقينا على كرسيه جسدا ثم أناب قال رب اغفر لي وهب لي ملكا لا ينبغي لأحد من بعدي إنك أنت الوهاب فسخرنا له الريح تجري بأمره رخاء حيث أصاب والشياطين كل بناء وغواص وآخرين مقرنين في الأصفاد هذا عطاؤنا فامنن أو أمسك بغير حساب وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب واذكر عبدنا أيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الشيطان بنصب وعذاب اركض برجلك هذا مغتسل بارد وشراب ووهبنا له أهله ومثلهم معهم رحمة منا وذكرى لأولي الألباب وخذ بيدك ضغثا فاضرب به ولا تحنث إنا وجدناه صابرا نعم العبد إنه أواب واذكر عبادنا إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب أولي الأيدي والأبصار إنا
أخلصناهم بخالصة ذكر الدار وإنهم عندنا لمن المصطفين الأخيار واذكر إسماعيل واليسع وذا الكفل وكل من الأخيار هذا ذكر وإن للمتقين لحسن مآب جنات عدن مفتحة لهم الأبواب متكئين فيها يدعون فيها بفاكهة كثيرة وشراب وعندهم قاصرات الطرف أتراب هذا ما توعدون ليوم الحساب إن هذا لرزقنا ما له من نفاد هذا وإن للطاغين لشر مآب جهنم يصلونها فبئس المهاد هذا فليذوقوه حميم وغساق وآخر من شكله أزواج هذا فوج مقتحم معكم لا مرحبا بهم إنهم صالوا النار قالوا بل أنتم لا مرحبا بكم أنتم قدمتموه لنا فبئس القرار قالوا ربنا من قدم لنا هذا فزده عذابا ضعفا في النار وقالوا ما لنا لا نرى رجالا كنا نعدهم من الأشرار اتخذناهم سخريا أم زاغت عنهم الأبصار إن ذلك لحق تخاصم أهل النار قل إنما أنا منذر وما من إله إلا الله الواحد القهار رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما العزيز الغفار قل هو نبأ عظيم أنتم عنه معرضون ما كان لي من علم بالملأ الأعلى إذ يختصمون إن يوحى إلي إلا أنما أنا نذير مبين إذ قال ربك للملائكة إني خالق بشرا من طين فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين فسجد الملائكة كلهم أجمعون إلا إبليس استكبر وكان من الكافرين قال يا إبليس ما منعك أن تسجد لما خلقت بيدي أستكبرت أم كنت من العالين قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين قال فاخرج منها فإنك رجيم وإن عليك لعنتي إلى يوم الدين قال رب فأنظرني إلى يوم يبعثون قال فإنك من المنظرين إلى يوم الوقت المعلوم قال فبعزتك لأغوينهم أجمعين إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين قال فالحق والحق أقول لأملأن جهنم منك وممن تبعك منهم أجمعين قل ما أسألكم عليه من أجر وما أنا من المتكلفين إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين ولتعلمن نبأه بعد حين.
Okay, let's jump in. We have a stack of notes here today that is, quite frankly, heavy. And I don't just mean physically heavy, though the source text we're using is an absolute brick. I mean conceptually heavy.
Oh, absolutely. It's a massive topic.
We are diving into a topic that has occupied philosophers, theologians, and, mystics for literally 14 centuries. We are looking at the nature of the divine.
We are. Specifically, we're looking at the divine attributes, and we're focusing our lens through a really incredible text called Divine Attributes, the splendor of his beautiful names.
Okay.
And it's a text that acts as a detailed exegesis, a really critical explanation and interpretation of the names of God in the Islamic tradition.
Right. And for anyone who has even, a passing familiarity with Islamic tradition, or maybe just comparative religion, you've probably heard this phrase, the 99 names.
You see it everywhere.
It's everywhere. You see it in calligraphy, you hear it in chants. It's cultural, it's artistic. But what we are doing today, and really what this source text does, is go way, way beyond just a list. We aren't just reciting names.
Not at all.
We are trying to understand a whole theological framework. This is about decoding the personality, if I can even use that word, of the creator as understood by this tradition.
Exactly. The source material we have in front of us, it posits that these names, the Asma Allah al-Husna, they aren't just titles. They are keys.
Keys. I like that.
They're keys. The text argues that they are the primary lens through which a believer is supposed to understand the very nature of the creator. And the mission for us for this deep dive is to decode them. We want to understand the nuances, the implications, and why, according to the text, any of this matters for a human being just, living their daily life.
Decode is absolutely the right word, because when you first look at the list, you see things that look, on the surface, very similar. You see the creator, and then you see the maker. You see the forgiving and the pardoner. And your first thought is, isn't that redundant? Why do we need 99 of them?
Why not just 5? Or 10?
Why not just one? Why not just God? But the text argues, no. Every single one of these names unlocks a specific, totally nuanced understanding of how the divine interacts with the universe.
It's like looking at a diamond.
Yes. Every facet catches the light differently. That's a perfect analogy.
And that really is the core thesis here. The text references a prophetic tradition right at the very start, and it states that God has 99 names, 100 minus 1, and whoever. And this is the key word. Enumerates them, or fully grasps them, enters paradise.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge claim.
It's a massive claim. It ties salvation directly to knowledge, to understanding. But it also clarifies that these names are called husna, which means beautiful.
And why beautiful?
Because, the text argues, they indicate perfect praise. They represent a complete and total lack of any defect, any flaw you can imagine.
So, hang on. A lack of defect. So the idea is that every name is kind of a counterpoint to a specific limitation that we as humans have.
That's it. You've hit it right on the head.
So we get tired, we get exhausted. So he is Al-Qayyum, the self-sustaining. We die, so he is Al-Hayy, the ever-living.
Precisely. The text frames it as a perfect contrast.
Yeah.
The created being, that's us, we're defined by lack of power, lack of knowledge, lack of life, you name it.
We're full of holes, basically.
Basically. And the creator is defined by the fullness of all of these attributes.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, understanding the names is actually a way of understanding your own position in the cosmos. It's about realizing what you aren't by studying and realizing what he is.
I love that perspective. It makes it feel so much more personal, rather than just some abstract high-level philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get to the meat of this then. Section 1 of our outline, the core identity. We absolutely have to start with the name that starts it all, the name that, as you said, encompasses everything else. Allah.
Yes, Allah. The source describes this as the primary foundational name. Linguistically, theologically, the text argues that this is the one name that contains all other attributes.
The umbrella.
It is the umbrella. When you say the word Allah, you are implicitly referring to the creator, the provider, the merciful, the king, all of it. It's the proper name of the divine essence itself.
I found something really, really interesting in the notes here, and I want to unpack it. It's the distinction the text makes between, I'm going to try to say this right, uluhiyya and rububiyya.
Yes.
It sounds like really technical jargon, but the source makes it seem like you can't understand the name Allah without getting this distinction.
You really can't.
Okay.
There are foundational concepts in the source text, so let's break it down. Rububiyya, or lordship, comes from the Arabic word rab, which means lord or master.
Okay.
It refers to the act of owning, creating, sustaining. It's about power, control, maintenance of the universe.
Here's the functional side of things. It's the functional side. The text gives this idea. If you create a robot and you're the one who keeps it charged, you have a form of lordship over it. You are the master of its existence. You decide when it turns on, when it turns off, how it functions.
Okay, so that's the master relationship. It's about who runs the show. It feels a bit detached almost.
It can be. But then you have uluhiyya, and this is what relates directly to the name Allah. It's about worship. It's about divinity.
So it's the response to the lordship.
It's the relationship. The text argues that just because something is powerful, just because it has lordship, doesn't automatically mean you love it or worship it.
Right.
You might fear a tyrant king because he has power over you, but you don't worship him in a spiritual sense. You certainly don't love him. Uluhiyya implies a relationship built on love, devotion, and voluntary submission.
Okay. So one is about what God does, create, sustain, control. That's rububiyya. And the other, uluhiyya, is about how humans respond to that. That's a fantastic way to put it. The name Allah, according to the source, indicates the one who has the unique right to be worshipped.
A right to it.
Yes. The text argues he is the true God precisely because he possesses all of these perfect attributes, life, power, knowledge. It's because he has those perfect qualities of rububiyya, lordship, that he alone deserves the response of uluhiyya, worship. The source says it plainly. He is the true God, and his religion is the truth.
There was this beautiful analogy in the source, or maybe not an analogy, more a description of the human condition. It said that minds find rest and hearts find tranquility in this name.
Yes, the true God in whom hearts find tranquility. It's a central idea.
And it connects to this idea that our love for the perfect is innate. It feels like we're hardwired for it.
We are.
We love a perfect sunset, a perfect piece of music, a perfect athletic performance. And since the text argues that Allah is the only truly, absolutely perfect entity, then he's the only one deserving of that absolute love. It's almost psychological.
It is.
If you love something imperfect as if it were perfect, you just get your heart broken. If you worship money, it leaves you. If you worship status, it fades.
Exactly. That is such a profound insight from the text. The human soul is searching for an anger, something that won't break, that won't fail. When you understand the name Allah as the aggregation of all perfection, the heart just settles.
It stops searching.
It stops looking elsewhere. The source quotes the verse, "Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah, hearts are assured." It argues that the very sound of the name is meant to bring peace, because it signifies the ultimate unchanging reality.
And that leads us to a fascinating pairing the text brings up constantly. You always see Allah paired with Ar-Rahman.
The most gracious, or the entirely merciful, yes.
Right. Now, why those two? The source points out a really unique status here. It says no being other than the creator is ever named Allah, obviously.
Obviously.
But it also says no being is ever named Ar-Rahman.
And that's the one that makes you pause.
It does. I mean, Allah is unique. That makes sense. But Rahman, I thought people had Rahman in their names all the time, right? Like Abdur Rahman.
But that's as a composite.
Yeah.
Servant of the Rahman, Abd or Rahman.
Okay.
But you won't find someone, according to the text, just named Ar-Rahman with a definite article. In that absolute sense, it's a reserved name.
So why is it reserved? What makes it so special?
The text emphasizes that you can call a human being Rahim, which also means merciful or Aziz, powerful. Humans can share in those qualities in a limited way.
Sure. You can be a merciful teacher or a powerful CEO.
Exactly. But Ar-Rahman implies a capacity, an ocean of mercy that is structurally impossible for a created being to possess. It's a different category altogether.
And that's the nuance. The source notes that Allah indicates the attribute of being worshipped, which involves, awe, fear, majesty. It's the heavy side of divinity.
Right, the gravity of it all.
And Ar-Rahman indicates the attribute of mercy. It's the soft side, the embrace.
So it's the balance of power and love, right from the outset, essentially. The text notes that Allah is the greater name because it implies mercy and force and sovereignty all in one package. Ar-Rahman zooms in. It specifically highlights that overwhelming mercy without the connotation of force or subjugation.
It's pure, unadulterated grace.
It is. The text says Allah represents the attribute of uluhiyah, divinity, while Ar-Rahman represents the attribute of Rahma, mercy.
That's a crucial distinction. It really sets the stage for everything else that follows. If the primary identity is power plus mercy, then the next logical question is, how does that manifest? Well, according to our outline, it manifests first and foremost in the act of bringing things into existence.
Which takes us to section 2, the architecture of existence, the creators, plural.
Yes, and this is where I got a little tripped up when I was prepping, and I need you to help me untangle these names. We have a trio of names here about creation: Al-Khaliq, Al-Bari, and Al-Musawwir.
The creator, the initiator, the fashioner.
Right. In English, we might just lump those together. But in the source text, they seem to have very specific, separate functions. These are not just synonyms thrown in for poetic effect.
Definitely not synonyms. Think of it as a process.
Yeah.
A production line of existence, if you will.
Yeah.
Although that's a very industrial metaphor for something so divine.
No, I like it. A production line. Let's walk through the line. First up is Al-Khaliq.
Al-Khaliq, the creator. The source defines this as the one who creates from nothing, ex nihilo. But more specifically, it refers to the decree or the planning stage.
The blueprint.
The blueprint. It's determining the measure of something before it even exists. The text says he creates everything, heavens, earth, death, life. And significantly, the source notes that he even creates the actions of people, which is a whole other deep dive for another day.
Whoa, okay, let's put a pin in that one. So Al-Khaliq brings the potential, the plan, and the very essence of the thing into reality from absolute zero. It's the let there be light moment. It's the architect drawing the blueprints and then willing them into being.
That's a perfect description.
So then what's next? Al-Bari. The text translates this sometimes as the initiator or the maker, but it also connects it to a nuance about innocence. What's that about?
Yes, the Arabic root, B-R-A, implies being free or innocent of something.
Yeah.
The word is bari. In this context, al-Bari is the one who brings that blueprint, that creation, into actual existence in a way that is specifically free of discrepancy or fault.
Okay. So if Al-Khaliq is the grand design, the broad stroke of creation, Al-Bari is the quality control, ensuring it all flows perfectly from plan to reality.
That's a good analogy. It focuses on the creation being innocent of any unevenness or flaw. The source text says the creation is bari of any flaw. It implies a seamless transition from non-existence to existence without a single glitch.
It's the precision engineering stage.
Exactly. It means the execution matches the blueprint perfectly every single time.
And then once you have this flawless existence, you need identity. And that's where Al-Musawwir comes in.
The fashioner, the one who gives everything its distinct form and its unique image. The text goes into a really beautiful deep dive here on the diversity of forms, male, female, tall, short. The different colors, the different shapes.
I loved that part. It talked about the miracle of individual identity, how every single creature has a unique stamp that distinguishes it. Even identical twins have different fingerprints.
Exactly. The text highlights this incredible diversity as a deliberate act of al-Musawwir. It asks us to just look at the faces of people, billions of people, all with the same basic structure, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. Yet you can distinguish every single one. That is in chaos. The text argues that is deliberate, intricate fashioning. It's the aesthetic detail, the artistry.
It's not just mass production, it's mass customization on an impossible scale. The text says he shapes them in the wombs however he wills.
And this trio, Khaliq, Bari, Musawwir, is often mentioned together in the Quran, as the source points out, because they represent the total arc of bringing something into being, the planning, the flawless executing, and the final shaping.
It's so complete. And then just when you're sitting there feeling impressed by this architecture, this incredible process, the text throws down a challenge. The fly argument, I remember reading this and thinking, a fly. Really, that's the example we're going with.
It's a famous argument referenced in the source, and it's drawn directly from the Quran. The text posits a challenge. If all created beings, all the kings, all the scientists, all the geniuses, even supernatural beings like angels and jinns, if they all gathered together.
The ultimate think tank.
The ultimate think tank. Their one mission, to create a single fly.
Not a robot fly, a real living, buzzing fly.
A real fly. And you have to think about the complexity of a fly. The compound eyes, the wings beating hundreds of times a second, the digestive enzymes, the nervous system, the ability to reproduce.
It's a miracle of engineering.
The challenge is, you cannot create life. You can manipulate things that already exist, but you cannot bridge that gap from non-life to life. Even with all our technology today, we can clone, we can modify DNA, but we cannot build a cell from scratch without using pre-existing biological material.
And it goes even further. The text doesn't stop there. It says, and if a fly took something from them, they couldn't recover it.
And this is the truly humbling part.
It really is.
You're sitting there at a picnic, a fly lands on your food, it takes a microscopic particle of sugar and it flies off. You, the apex predator, the master of the earth, the builder of skyscrapers, you cannot get that sugar back. It's gone. You are completely powerless against this tiny fly.
That is such a humbler. It just perfectly illustrates the absolute weakness of the created versus the absolute power of the creator. It shifts your whole perspective from, look how much we can do, to look how utterly dependent we actually are.
It's meant to dismantle human arrogance. The text uses this to say, if you can't even control a fly, why do you act like you own the world? Why do you worship things other than the one who created both you and the fly?
Which is a perfect segue to the next section. Because if we are that dependent, if we are that weak, then we need sustenance, we need help, we need mercy. Section 3, mercy, provision, and generosity.
This is where the text really expands on that name we mentioned at the very beginning, Ar-Rahman, and pairs it with its close relative, Ar-Rahim.
The most merciful. Okay, so this is the classic question. They sound so similar. What is the difference? The text outlines a universal versus specific distinction.
Right. Ar-Rahman is described in the source as having a mercy that covers everything, the upper and lower worlds. This is the mercy of existence itself.
So like physics, the sun.
The rain, the food, the sun, the air we breathe. The source notes this applies to the believer and the non-believer alike, to every living thing.
So the fact that an atheist breathes oxygen or a tyrant enjoys a good meal, the text is saying that is a manifestation of Ar-Rahman.
Exactly. It is the mercy of general provision and sustenance. God does not withhold the sun from someone just because they deny him. That is the sheer vastness of Ar-Rahman.
Okay, so that's the broad, all-encompassing mercy. What about Ar-Rahim?
Ar-Rahim implies a specific, special mercy. The text says this is a mercy reserved for the believers, particularly in the hereafter.
So Ar-Rahim is a relational mercy. It depends on your relationship with the divine.
Yes. It's the mercy of guidance, of forgiveness, of acceptance, of paradise. You could say, Ar-Rahman keeps your body alive in this world. Ar-Rahim saves your soul for the next.
To help us visualize this, the source uses the 100 mercies analogy. The math on this was fascinating.
It is. The source details a prophetic tradition where God has, metaphorically, 100 parts of mercy. And of those 100 parts, only one single part was sent down to earth.
One out of 100.
Just one. And the text says this single part, this 1%, accounts for all the compassion that has ever existed between creatures from the beginning of time until the end.
Wait. All of it. You're saying every act of kindness.
All of it. Every time a mother hugs her child, every single time a beast lifts its hoof so it doesn't step on its young. Every act of charity ever committed, every doctor saving a patient, every moment of love between spouses, that is all derived from that single 100th part of mercy scattered across all of history and all of creation.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. It implies that the most intense love we feel here on Earth is just a tiny fragment, a little spark from the original source.
An echo.
An echo, and the other 99 parts.
They are reserved for the believers on the day of judgment.
That is overwhelming. I think we usually think of Judgment Day as a day of terror, of wrath. But the text is arguing that for the believer, it's actually the day when 99% of the mercy reserve is finally unlocked.
Precisely. It reframes the entire concept of the afterlife. Yes, there's accountability, there's justice, but the backdrop to all of it is an ocean of mercy that we here on Earth haven't even begun to see yet.
And to drive this point home, to make it even more real, the text uses a very visceral, very emotional image. The story of the woman searching for her baby.
Yes, it's a powerful scene. It describes a time when captives of war were brought to the prophet. And among them, a woman was running frantically through the crowd. She was panicking, calling out, looking for her infant.
You can just picture the desperation.
And when she finally finds him, she just grabs him, presses him to her chest, and immediately starts to nurse him. The relief is palpable. You can feel the adrenaline leaving her body, replaced by pure love.
It's the ultimate maternal instinct. Primal.
And the prophet sees this, and he turns to his companions and asks them, "Do you think this woman would ever throw her child into the fire?"
And of course the answer is no. It's an impossible thought. Her love is too strong. She would throw herself in first without a second thought.
And that's when he delivers the lesson. The response is, Allah is more merciful to his servants than this mother is to her child.
Wow. The text wants the reader to understand that divine mercy isn't just an abstract theological concept. It's more potent, more real than the strongest biological and emotional bond that we know as human beings.
Exactly. It's intimate. But mercy isn't just about feelings. It's about survival. And that brings us directly to Arzak, the provider.
Arazak. The text makes a crucial point here that I think is easy to miss. It says God creates the sustenance and the means to access it. So it's not just that the apple exists on the tree. It's that you have the hand to pick it, the mouth to eat it, and the stomach to digest it. The whole system is part of the provision.
And the notes distinguish between two types of provision here as well, a general one and a special one.
Following that same pattern as mercy.
Yes, very similar.
Yeah.
General provision is the material stuff. Food, water, shelter, health given to everyone, good or bad, human or animal. The text quotes the verse. There is no moving creature on earth, but its provision depends on a law.
So that's the provision for the body. What's the special provision?
That's the provision for the heart. Faith, knowledge, wisdom, contentment. The text frames this as the sustenance of the soul.
So you can be incredibly wealthy in a material sense with all the general provision you could want, but be completely starving in your spirit because you lack that special provision.
Exactly. Or you could be materially poor, but your heart is full of wisdom and peace. Arzak, the text says, controls both taps.
There is an image here that I think is my favorite in the whole text. It's just so powerful, the needle in the ocean.
Yes. This illustrates the sheer scale of God's wealth and is connected to the next name, Al-Wahhab, the bestower.
The text sets up this incredible scenario. It says, imagine if all humans and all jinns, so every conscious being from the very first one to the very last one, stood together in one place, and every single one of them asked God for their greatest wish.
Whatever they wanted. 1 billion people asking for billions of dollars, for kingdoms, for perfect health, for private islands. No limits.
And he granted every single wish instantly.
The text says that this act of giving would decrease. His dominion, no more than a needle dipped into the ocean, decreases the water.
That's just Maya.
It's mind-bending.
You dip a needle in the ocean, it comes out wet. It takes a microscopic film of water with it. But relative to the vastness of the ocean, it's nothing. It's a rounding error to infinity.
It's a statement about infinity. Finite demands, no matter how impossibly large they seem to us, cannot make a dent in an infinite supply. That is the essence of Al-Wahhab, the one who gives without needing any compensation and without any fear of the supply ever running out.
The text gives these amazing examples from Scripture, like giving the prophet Zechariah a child in his old age, or giving King Solomon a kingdom such as shall not belong to any other after me. These aren't just gifts, they are gifts that defy the normal laws of cause and effect.
which is why Al-Wahhab is often translated as the bestower of gifts. It implies a level of giving that isn't earned or deserved. It's just given out of pure, unimaginable bounty.
Okay, so we have the giver, the merciful, the creator. This all sounds very benevolent, very gentle. But the text shifts gears pretty hard in section 4.
It does.
Because if you have a universe and you have creatures with free will, you need order, you need authority, you need sovereignty.
Section 4, sovereignty and dominance. And here we meet the names Al-Malik, Al-Qahir, and Al-Jabbar.
Al-Malik, it means the king. But the text draws a very hard, very clear line between true kingship and what it calls temporary possession.
Right. We call people kings or owners on earth.
Yeah.
But the text argues this is just a metaphor. It's actually stewardship.
A loan.
It's allowing you own your house, but then you die and someone else gets it. Or the bank forecloses.
Yeah.
Or a natural disaster destroys it. Your ownership is fragile, conditional, and always temporary.
To prove this point, the source describes this incredibly dramatic scene on the Day of Judgment. It says God will fold up the heavens and the earth like a scroll and ask a question.
Where are the kings of the earth?
And the response is just silence.
Absolute silence. It's a rhetorical challenge to dismantle every illusion of power. In that moment, all stewardship dissolves. The text emphasizes that Al-Malik is the one who gives dominion and takes it away. He lifts some people up and brings others down. It's absolute inherent control. Human kingship is borrowed. Divine kingship is the source.
And that absolute control leads us to Al-Qahir the subduer. This one sounded intense. The source uses this idea of a chain of command in nature.
This is a fascinating hierarchy that the source presents to visualize the pecking order of power in the physical world. It says, the wind has power, it moves the clouds, so the wind is stronger than the clouds.
Okay.
But mountains can stop the wind, so mountains are stronger than the wind.
Yeah.
But iron can break mountains, you can mine them, shatter them, so iron is stronger.
And fire melts iron, so fire is stronger.
And water extinguishes fire, so water is the strongest physical force in this chain.
But it doesn't end there.
No, because the text says God conquers all of it. It's showing that every single force in nature, no matter how powerful it seems, has a counterforce. There's always something that can overcome it, except for the Creator. He is the uncounterable force.
And the ultimate proof of this subjugation, the one thing that gets everyone and everything in the end, is death.
Yes, the text says death is the ultimate manifestation of Al-Qahir. No creature, no matter how powerful, not the mountain, not the iron, not the tyrant king, can escape it. Death subdues everyone and everything. That is the inescapable power of Al-Qahir.
Then we have Al-Jabbar. Now, this is an interesting one because in modern Arabic, or just in general usage, if you call a human being a Jabbar, that's a major insult, right? It means a tyrant, a dictator.
A bully, a thug,
Yes.
someone who forces their will on others unjustly.
Yes, but the text points out this beautiful contradiction here. When a human is Jabbar, it's a defect. It's a sign of their weakness and arrogance. But when God is Al-Jabbar, it's a point of praise. So why? How can the exact same word be a terrible insult for us and the highest praise for him?
Because of the brilliant dual meaning of the root word, JBR. On one hand, Jabbar comes from a root that means to force or to compel. So, he compels creation to follow the laws of nature he set. You can't just choose to stop your heart from beating. You are compelled. The stars are compelled to follow their orbits. That is his power.
Okay, that's the compeller part, the powerful, maybe even scary part.
But the root jabra is also the word used in medicine for setting a broken bone. The practice is called al-jab. It's where we get the word algebra. It's about restoration, mending, fixing what's broken.
Oh, wow, I had no idea. So Al-Jabbar also means the mender, the restorer.
Exactly. The text describes him as the mender of broken things. He fixes broken bones, but also, more importantly, broken hearts. He mends the state of the poor, the weak, the sad. So he's the compeller of the arrogant and strong, keeping them in check, but he's the restorer of the weak and broken, fixing their state.
That is a nuance I have completely missed my whole life. I always associated that name with just raw, scary power, but it's power that is used to fix and to heal.
That's the expert view the text wants us to have. It's power with a perfect purpose. It fixes the broken and it breaks the tyrannical.
Okay, moving on to section 5. We have the creator, the provider, the king. But a king, a sovereign, needs to know what's happening in the kingdom, which brings us to omniscience.
The awareness of the divine.
Yeah.
Here we have the trio of Al-Alim, Asami, and Al-Basir.
The all-knowing, the all-hearing, the all-seeing. The text opens this section with a description of this scoop of knowledge that is just vast. It's not just about knowing facts like a cosmic encyclopedia.
No, not at all. It says, he knows what was, what is, what will be, and this is the real kicker. He also knows what could have been if things had happened differently.
That's basically knowledge of all potential timelines, all the what-ifs.
It's knowledge of counterfactuals, yes.
Yeah.
The text emphasizes that his knowledge isn't learned, it's not acquired. It is inherent and absolute. He knows every single leaf that falls from every tree. It mentions he knows every grain in the darkness of the earth. It's not just passive observation. It's the active, simultaneous registration of every single micro-event in the entire universe.
And then it breaks down the sensory attributes, which is fascinating, as Semi, the hearing, and Al-Basir, the seeing, and the text really emphasizes the simultaneity of it all.
That's the key concept. Imagine you're in a stadium with 100,000 people talking at once. All you hear is a roar, just noise.
Great noise, yeah.
But as Sami, the text says, hears every individual conversation in every single language, understands the distinct need behind every single voice all at the same time, without any confusion or interference. The text says no voice distracts him from another.
And for Al-Basir, the all-seeing, the text used that famous, powerful imagery, seeing the black ant on a black rock in the darkest of nights.
Which is basically a poetic way of saying nothing is hidden.
Yeah.
There is no shadow, no camouflage that can work against Al-Basir. But the text then takes this in a very psychological direction. This isn't just theological trivia to memorize.
Right.
It's meant to instill a quality called haya.
Haya. Is that shame? Or is it more like modesty?
It's a mix.
Yeah.
It's modesty, a sense of shame before doing wrong, a sense of propriety. The text argues that if you truly deeply believe that God is as Sami and Al-Basir, you simply act differently.
It's a regulator.
It's the ultimate regulator. You don't gossip if you know the microphone is always on. You got to steal if you know the security camera is always recording and sees everything perfectly. It creates a sense of constant, loving observation that is meant to elevate your behavior.
But then we get into even subtler aspects of knowledge. Al-Latif and Al-Kabir. Al-Latif is translated as the subtle. I struggled with this one a bit. How is subtle a name of God?
Al-Latif is one of the most profound and beautiful names, I think. It has two main layers. First, it means his knowledge penetrates the most hidden, subtle things. He knows the secret thoughts in your chest. But second, and more interestingly, it refers to how he acts in the world.
His methodology.
His methodology. The source says, he is too subtle to be seen by our eyes, yet he perceives all eyes. And his way of getting things done is soft, gentle.
The text mentioned the fetus in the womb here.
Yes, it's the perfect example. How does a fetus get fed and nourished? Through the umbilical cord. It's a hidden, gentle, perfect means of sustenance. The mother isn't actively thinking, I must send nutrients now. The baby isn't asking for it. It just happens, subtly and perfectly.
It's a built-in system.
Or how a chick hatches from an egg and immediately knows how to peck for food. No one taught it. That instant, life-saving instinct is a manifestation of Al-Latif, achieving huge critical results through hidden, gentle means.
That's beautiful. It's the complete opposite of shock and awe. It's the gentle, unseen breeze that steers the massive ship. So what about Al-Kabir?
Al-Kabir is usually translated as the all-aware or the acquainted. If Al-Alim is general, all-encompassing knowledge, Al-Kabir is knowledge of the inner reality, the secrets, the hidden motives.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Al-Alim knows that you gave $100 to charity. That's the external fact.
Yeah.
Al-Kabir knows why you gave it. Did you do it for praise from people, or did you do it sincerely for a higher purpose?
So he knows the action and the full intent behind the action. Al-Habir is the expert on the why.
You've got it. The ultimate expert.
Which leads us perfectly to the final major section of our notes. Because if he knows everything, even our secret motives, and he is the king, what happens when we mess up? Because we all will mess up.
Inevitable.
Section 6, purity, judgment, and forbearance.
This starts with a pair of names that define his essence. Al-Quddus and As-Salam, the holy and the peace.
Al-Quddus, the holy. The text says it refers to absolute purity, but purity from what specifically?
Purity from all defects and limitations. The source lists them specifically. Things like sleep, fatigue, death, ignorance, injustice. God is Quddus because he is completely above and beyond these biological and moral limitations that define created beings. Humans sleep, God does not. Humans can be unjust, God cannot be.
And as-salam. I know salam means peace, like in the common greeting.
It does. The text defines as-salam first as the flawless one, the one who is safe, salim from any defect. His being is perfect peace, but it also means he is the source of all peace. The text connects this directly to paradise, which is called Dar as-Salam, the home of peace.
And the greeting, assalamu alaikum.
Yes, the source connects it directly. When you say that to someone, you're actually invoking this name of God upon them. You're saying, may the peace of as-Salam be upon you, or may you be safe under his flawless protection. It's a beautiful prayer disguised as a simple greeting.
Now here's a pair of names that I think everyone needs to hear about. The difference between Al-Halim and Al-Ghafur.
The forbearing versus the forgiving. Crucial distinction.
The text describes Al-Halim with this incredible image of cosmic tension. It says the heavens and the earth want to literally split apart because of the enormity of human sin.
Yes, specifically the sin of shirk, or polytheism, according to the text. The source dramatizes this cosmic reaction. The pure universe finds this particular sin abhorrent. The earth wants to swallow this sinner just to purify itself. But God, as Al-Halim, holds them back.
So Al-Halim is about delaying punishment.
Exactly. Halim is the one who sees the transgression, has the absolute power to punish immediately, but chooses to wait. He delays the consequences to give the sinner a chance to reflect, to repent, to pivot. It's all about time. It's divine impulse control. He is not reactionary.
And Al-Ghafur, the forgiving.
If Halim is about time, Ghafur is about the result. The root word means to cover, like a helmet covers a head. So Al-Ghafur is the one who covers the sin. He protects the sinner from the scandal, the shame, and ultimately the consequence of that sin. So Halim gives you the time to repent. Ghafur erases the record from the book when you do.
That's such a powerful 1-2 punch of mercy. One buys you time, the other cleans the slate.
And finally, in this section, we have Al-Hakim and Al-Fatah, the wise and the opener.
Al-Hakim, the wise, implies that every single action giving, withholding, creating, allowing difficulty, is done with perfect wisdom. Nothing is random, but even the bad stuff.
According to the text, yes. Even the withholding of provision, or the existence of a painful trial, or the delay in a prayer being answered. It all has a profound wisdom, hikmah, behind it, whether we can see it in the moment or not. Al-Hakim is the one who puts everything in its absolutely perfect place.
And Al-Fatah, the opener, what does that open?
It creates a dual image. First, he's the judge who opens the truth between warring parties. He decides who is right and who is wrong, like a judge opening a sealed case and revealing the verdict.
Okay.
But it also means he's the one who opens doors of mercy, doors of knowledge, doors of sustenance that were sealed shut. The text quotes the verse, whatever mercy Allah opens for the people, none can withhold.
That's a very, very hopeful name. The opener. When
Yeah.
you feel completely stuck, when every door seems locked, that's the name you would call upon.
Precisely.
Man, there is so much here. We've gone through, I don't even know how many names, but a lot. We've talked about identity, creation, mercy, power, knowledge, and judgment. So what does this all mean? How do we synthesize all of this?
Well, the text doesn't leave us hanging with just a list of definitions. It moves from being a theological list to what it calls a lived reality.
Right. It's not about memorizing words for a test. It's about creating a lens through which you see the world.
Exactly. If you truly internalize that God is Ar-Razak, the provider, the text argues you shouldn't have crippling anxiety over your finances. Why stress to the point of sickness if the ultimate provider has guaranteed your sustenance? If you believe he is Al-Basir, the seeing, you watch your actions, even in private, it changes your behavior.
If you believe he's Al-Halim, you try to become more patient and forbearing with other people, reflecting just a tiny bit of that attribute.
It changes how you walk through the world. You're no longer walking through a random, chaotic, meaningless universe. You're walking through a place that is actively created, sustained, watched, and judged with perfect mercy and wisdom.
And that leads to the final provocative thought from the source. This is the one that really got me. The concept of the greatest name, Al-Azam Al-Azam,
Ah, yes.
the cheat code.
Laughs. In a way, you could see it like that. The text mentions a tradition that God has a specific name, or a combination of names, by which, if he is asked, he answers. It's a guaranteed response.
A direct line. So does it tell us what it is?
It hints. It suggests it might be the combination of names found in certain key verses of the Quran, like the pair Al-Hay, Al-Qayyum, the ever-living, the self-sustaining. But it leaves it slightly, deliberately ambiguous.
Why do that? Why not just spell it out?
Well, the speculation is that it's to keep people searching, to keep people calling upon him by all of his beautiful names, knocking on all doors, not just looking for a single magic word.
And the believer's duty, as the text concludes, is to enumerate these names, which, as we said, doesn't just mean memorizing a list. It means to understand them, to internalize them, and to try to live by their implications. That, the source claims, is the path to paradise.
It's a path of knowledge that leads to love, which in turn leads to action.
Well, I certainly feel like I've got a much better handle on the map now. It's not just a list of 99 words anymore. It's a detailed description of a relationship.
A relationship between the infinitely weak and the infinitely strong, the utterly needy and the absolutely rich, the created and the creator.
Truly fascinating stuff. Thank you for walking us through this deep dive. It was a lot to take in.
My pleasure. It's a joy to discuss.
And to you listening, next time you look at something as complex and overlooked as a fly, or as simple as a falling leaf, or even just at your own reflection, maybe try to think about the name attached to it. It might just change your perspective. Until next time.